This is the testing video for Objective 6, which is users should be able to easily navigate between group chats with more recent activity being easier to access. So I'm going to start up the server again. I'll sign out and sign back in. This is part of the browser's password manager. As with previous videos, I'm not testing the user authentication system in the testing video for Objective 6, which is what this is. The testing for user authentication is already covered in previous tests, and we've already verified that that works. So I'm not going to bother testing this stuff again. Now, so the way in which users are able to navigate between group chats is essentially this group list here on the left. You can see that it's a list of groups, so in bold you have the group name, and then here we have the last message, cheers, the display name of the user who sent it, and the date on which the user was sent, the message was sent, and of course it's ordered by the most recent last message. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the database and we're going to make sure the data here essentially matches what it should be. So the goal is to have all the groups the user is in ordered by the most recent message at the top, and we've also displayed the display name of the user who sent that last message, the date the last message was sent, and the group name. So this is slightly different because I won't actually need to join. I will be joining and rejoining groups, and we'll see if that still affects and updates the database, affects this group list, and see if that works. And then we'll also be checking if it's updated in the database. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave these groups, and then we're going to create a couple of groups, send some messages for some different accounts, and see if it works. Once I leave all these groups, we can start the actual test. Again, we've already tested the leave group function in functionality in separate videos because that's a different objective. Okay. I'm already signed in as another user, Adam. We can already see we've got some groups, but we'll be testing whether the group functionality works on this user account. I have another user, so we can have more than one user sending messages, and obviously you need more than one user to really test this properly. So I'm going to start creating some groups. I'm going to create 3 groups, and each of them is going to have these 2 users in. again, we've verified the create group functionality in other testing videos. Okay, and I'm going to accept the inputs. Okay, so we joined the groups. Okay, I'm going to send a couple of messages in each of these groups. I want to make sure that the group list is correctly ordered here. And actually, you know what? We'll also test. We'll also be testing if the group is this group list has also updated correspondingly. Because if the group list works correctly, the group list should be working on both accounts. So I'm going to say hi in test one. You can already see that test one has popped to the top of the group list for both, which is good. Said hi in test two. Now test two is at the top of that. And then test three, I'm going to say hello. And we can see that test three is now at the top of both. And we have the correct date, 21st of March. It's ordered by the most recent message. You saw which order the messages were sent in. And we have the user who sent the messages. So that works. We've verified the group list functionality in the live from the user's experience, and now we're going to make sure that this data actually matches what's stored in the database. Just give me a moment. Okay, so this is the SQL query to actually get all the different fields all the different pieces of data we need to actually form that group list. So now, from the user's perspective, what we actually need to get from the database is, of course, the group name, which is different than group ID, which is the actual numerical primary key, the group table. We need the display name of user who sent last message, last message, date, time. Of course, we can convert that date time to just a time. Instead of doing that within the SQL query, we can do it in the function that actually runs that SQL query before it gets past the application part of the application. Sorry, the application part of the application, which actually handles sending data to the browser, clients, and getting it back. Last message, date, time, group name. Yep. Okay. So we're selecting all from a sub. To simplify this, I've made a subquery inside the from statement. So we're getting the group ID. If I show you the from database1.group has been summarized as G to make things a bit easier. Get the group ID, which we'll need to get other parts of this stuff later. We're getting the group name, what I'm saying we actually need, and we're going to get the whether there are any messages, of course, because let's say are no messages yet, of course, the SQL query shouldn't have to fetch a message that doesn't exist and get date time and display name of the user who hasn't even sent the message. And obviously, if no messages has been sent yet, then there's no message activity, meaning it should display at the bottom. And of course, that still works here. And in fact, if I accept the invitation, we can see that test one, at least the new test one, you can see the group ID here. If you see the URL is 46, and here in the bottom left, you can see that the group ID is again 46, and or you can actually see it in the URL here, and it's displayed at the bottom. So yeah, these two are the same test ones. I'm gonna go back to it. So we're checking if the number of messages is greater than 0, then we'll return a 1. If not, it's going to be 0. And we're getting that from database1.message, where the message group ID matches, the group ID, the foreign key here matches the primary key of this. Then we're getting the display name from the user table, where the username is the sender username from the message stored in the message table column in the rows where the message group ID, again, the foreign key here matches the primary key of that, again, ordered by the message date time. And of course, we only want the most recent message, so we're only limiting that to 1, and returning that as last message user display name. Then the content of the last message, of course, hi, hello, hi. And again, we're ordering that by the same way we've ordered that, and of course we only want the most recent one. And the next part is to get the last message date time. We're getting it from the message table, where message group ID equals group.group ID, ordered by that as last message date time. And then finally, we're only doing it where, of course, the user is, of course, here I've just selected Avingo255. That's this user who's logged in, but the actual application